Eyewitness News is following a major breaking news story at 5. Just over 1 hour ago, Eyewitness News learned there will be no charges following the 4-year investigation into 38 Studios criminal probe.
Eyewitness News has live team coverage on this breaking news. We begin with Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado live at State Police headquarters with more on what police and state officials revealed today.
The decision to file no charges in this case comes after 4 years of reviewing documents and interviewing all the players in this case. State Police looked into a 2-year period from 2010, when the General Assembly passed a law to create the program that eventually lent $75 million to 38 Studios, through 2012, when 38 Studios went bankrupt. And while State Police are not revealing exactly who was interviewed about the failed video game company, they say 11 people total were interviewed. They say, 146 people total were interviewed by police. 11 of them were called to testify before the grand jury. And that grand jury process is secret, so investigators won't say who those 11 people are. But again, no criminal charges were filed against anyone. The Attorney General says he understands that people who he called cynics will not accept this result, but he explained why it was made.
At the end of the day, justice is getting the right result under the law, which is not necessarily always the popular result. The bottom line is that this investigation is at a point in time where all of the information, all of the interviews, all of the legal analysis has been done, and there is simply not enough evidence and probable cause to bring charges against anyone.
And it's important to note that today's decision is completely separate from the civil case against Curt Schilling and the architects of the 38 Studios deal, which is set to go to trial in October. Live in Scituate with the Mobile Newsroom, I'm Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Steph. Our coverage of today's breaking news in 38 Studios doesn't end there.
Target 12 investigator Walt Buteau has been following the story since the video game company collapsed in 2012. Walt joins us live at State Police headquarters with more insight now. Walt, we know Colonel O'Donnell mentioned there was a lack of transparency. What did he mean by that?
Well, as you might remember, only a few people knew why $75 million was being added to a bill that had actually been proposed the session before, the year before, by another lawmaker. All of a sudden, they're adding $75 million to it. Only a few knew, apparently, that that $75 million was already earmarked through the EDC for Curt Schilling's company. But again, the Colonel says, and the Attorney General says, bad government, but not necessarily illegal. And remember, back on the day that it was approved, Republican Bob Watson, former state representative, stood on the House floor and said, scandal, we'll find this money. Some would say it was a scandal. Others would say no criminal charges, no scandal.
Walt, the Attorney General seemed almost skeptical that Rhode Islanders would believe this outcome. Did he elaborate on that statement?
I think there was at least 4 occasions when he hit on the fact that there are going to be a lot of Rhode Islanders who believe there should have been criminal charges. But he said, the Colonel said, there wasn't enough probable cause. And again, the theme was bad government, lack of transparency, only a few people knowing what was going on, a check literally, but no balance. And they said, while it was bad government, not illegal, the Attorney General elaborated a little bit. We asked him about that, and he said he thinks the majority of Rhode Islanders will believe that the investigation was thorough and that it is a solid conclusion that there should not be charges. But he believes there is a minority who will not believe it, will never believe it, and will always be skeptical, thinking there should have been criminal charges from this case.
All right, Target 12 investigator Walt Buteau live at State Police headquarters in Scituate. Thank you, Walt. We begin with breaking news. No charges in the 38 Studios criminal probe.
Just hours ago, State Police and the Attorney General revealing the end result of their 4-year investigation into the state's investment into Curt Schilling's failed video game company.
Tonight, we're looking closer at the reasoning behind the decision. Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado begins our live team coverage outside State Police headquarters.
State Police and the Attorney General detailed what they've been doing for the past 4 years, interviewing dozens of witnesses and combing through tens of thousands of pages of documents. They say 146 people were interviewed by the police, 11 people testified before a grand jury, and police are not saying who those people are due to the secret grand jury process, but they did say all the major players in the 38 Studio debacle were interviewed. They also contacted every member of the 2010 General Assembly, which passed the law to create the program that eventually led $75 million to the failed video game company. Both the AG and the state police colonel said that was a bad deal and not transparent, but they said there was not enough probable cause to charge anyone with a crime.
It is the investigative opinion of the Rhode Island State Police and the Department Attorney General that a bad deal does not always equate to an indictment.
We all share the frustrations of all Rhode Islanders when it comes to the entire 38 Studios episode. I feel the same sense of betrayal and outrage. I believe these emotions are shared by all honest, good, hardworking Rhode Islanders. For those who are cynics and choose not to believe what is being presented today, no explanation will be sufficient. At the end of the day, justice is getting the right result under the law, which is not necessarily always the popular result.
And the Attorney General said if more information comes up, they would reactivate the investigation. Now, it's important to note this is completely separate from the civil case against Curt Schilling and the architects of the 38 Studios deal, which is set to go to trial in October. Live in Scituate with the Mobile Newsroom, I'm Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Steph. And our in-depth team coverage of today's breaking news in 38 Studios continues now.
WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi has been tracking the criminal probe every step of the way. Joins us now live from State Police headquarters. Ted, investigators talked to hundreds of witnesses and collected thousands of pages of documents during the probe, all which remain under wraps tonight, correct?
Yes, that's one of the headlines here, I think, along with the fact of no charges, is the fact that we're not going to get the information developed here. Back in the 2000s, people might remember Attorney General Patrick Lynch. He actually allowed many of the documents from the Station nightclub fire investigation to be released. But Attorney General Kilmartin tells us today he will not follow that precedent in this case and won't let the 38 Studios documents come out and be made public. He gave a few reasons for that. He says the case isn't actually closed. It's just inactive and could be reopened, though he wouldn't predict how long it could remain open but inactive. He also said indictments were brought in the Station nightclub case and not in this one.
And Ted, you've also been in touch with Governor Raimondo's office about today's announcement. What did she have to say about all of this?
Well, I'm told the governor was briefed on this earlier by Colonel O'Donnell and Attorney General Kilmartin, and the governor's spokeswoman tells me she will not order any additional investigation into 38 Studios, and that is a clear flip-flop by Governor Raimondo. She promised during her 2014 campaign for governor to order an independent investigation into 38 Studios once she took office, but she told us on Newsmakers last fall she was no longer sticking by that pledge, and based on what we heard today, this announcement isn't going to change it. So it's certainly going to be a disappointing day for people who wanted more information about what went down with 38 Studios.
All right, WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi live at State Police headquarters in Scituate. Thank you, Ted.